Hi, this is Chanel. Hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about critiquing and judging. Okay, so, in other words, being critical and judgmental. Okay. First, I want to say in the Bible, in Matthew 7:1, it says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." Okay. And so it's we should not be judging one another. However, since I know a lot of you are going to do it anyway, I want to tell you or give you some pointers on how to do wrong a little bit better. Okay, if you're going to do wrong, at least be a little bit better at it. Okay, and so first I want to talk about critiquing. Okay, now I went in school. I remember having not even in school, even as an adult as well. I have had the assignment of critiquing. Okay. I have critiqued classrooms. I have critiqued. I remember anyway, throughout both my career as well as just being in school, I've had assignments of critiquing, and what critiquing is basically summarizing and reviewing what you see. Okay. Now, before you can critique anything, you first have to have knowledge. All right. You cannot critique without knowledge, and knowing the history of something. Okay. And so again, it takes wisdom and knowledge in order to properly critique. All right. Another thing I think about when I think of critiquing or someone critiquing in a proper way is, let's say, a food critic. Okay. Let's say there's a food critic and they are critiquing, let's say, Italian food. Okay. The best critic is not gonna go to Jamaica, okay, if they want to critique Italian food, right? They'll go to Italy. They'll do history. They'll go to the source itself. They will get they will gather information about the culture and they gather information about the source that they are critiquing. Okay, so again, if a person is, let's say there's a food critic who is studying Italian food, they will learn history about Italy. They will more than likely go to Italy. They'll tour Italy. They will go to that source itself. Maybe read books about Italy and Italian food and things of that nature. Again, they will go to the source itself. The main the main problem with a lot of you people who like to be critical is you do not go to the source itself. Okay, if you are critical about a specific person or a group or whatever the case may be, instead of you going to that source, you will go everywhere else. Okay. And so again, I'm trying to help you do wrong a little bit better. Okay. And so if you want to know something about someone, if you want to know information about someone, if you are critiquing someone, if you are curious about someone, you have questions about someone, you are confused about someone, what you need to do is go to that source directly. Okay. So that's one. So again, I'm talking about critiquing and judgment. So go to the source. If you know, don't go to the, don't go to a third party. Don't use underhanded, backhanded ways of trying to get information. If you're gonna do it right, okay, or do it a little bit better, okay. So go, be very forthcoming and go to that source if you're that curious about something or someone, okay. So that's one problem that a lot of you have, is not going to the source, okay. Now I'm going to go to judging. Okay, so judgment. Obviously, again, in order to properly judge, you need information. Okay. And a lot of you judge without information. Okay. Or maybe the information you have is incorrect. Okay, somebody gave you incorrect information, or you just don't have it all. However, you want to make you want to critique and judge which you have no information. So I'll say it like this: people, it takes a lot. We are who we are because of many different things. Okay. It's like a puzzle piece, or it's like a puzzle. We are like puzzles, okay? So imagine a puzzle with 500,000 pieces, okay? We, as humans, are like puzzles, okay? And it takes many, many pieces to make up who we are. However, now this is a puzzle, okay, in a box. Okay, so now, and this is a picture of the puzzle. Now, a lot of you people think you know the full picture when all you have, excuse me, are a few pieces. You understand? You try to act as though, or speak as if you know what the full picture is, when all you have is this. You understand? And the problem is, or the problem expands when all you have is this, and you think you know this, and you love to talk. Okay, you're a gossiper. You love to, you love attention, and you need to be heard. Okay, you need to be heard. You need to be seen, and you love to talk about other people's. You love to talk about other people, and you speak as if this is what you know, and you don't. Okay, that's very problematic. Okay, I've done a couple of videos about the scientific method. Okay, and within the scientific method, the whole goal is to get a hypothesis. Okay, a hypothesis is to have it's an educated guess. Okay. Like I said, if we are people and we are made up of, let's say, instead of 100 pieces, we had 500,000 pieces. Okay. A lot of, like, if you're gonna judge someone, you can't judge someone off of a little bit of information. And even if you know more than a little bit, you don't know it all. Okay. And so I would encourage you all to number one, to not gossip, number one. Okay, because there's a lot you don't know. Okay. And it shows more ignorance than anything. When you try to put yourself in a place to where you want to critique others and judge others, and you don't have all of the information, okay, it looks very ignorant. Okay, now a lot of people look at you because there are people, a lot, within our society, there are people who love drama and people who love mess and people who love gossiping, okay, or people who love to hear gossip. So you'll have a crowd, okay? You will definitely have a crowd. You will definitely have people who will edge you on and however, to the wise you look ignorant, okay? So number one, like I said, my goal is to try to help you do wrong a little bit better. And so if you want to critique, the first thing you need to do is, so obviously there's more than likely some curiosity there. Maybe questions you have if you want to critique, if you're critiquing something or someone. There's curiosity and there are questions that need to be answered. So ask questions to the person that you are critiquing. Okay, like an interview. Okay, so pretend I'm going to say it like this. And this is as simple as I can put it. All right. If you are either a child or a young adult and you are in class, let's say you're in math class, okay, and you have a question about a math problem. All right. More than likely, you're not going to go to history. You're not going to sit in math class with your mouth closed. If you have a question about what's being explained to you, okay, you're not going to sit there quietly and then wait until you go to history class or science class and ask the history teacher about a math problem, right? You wouldn't do that. Now, this is as simple as I can put it. But the way a lot of you act and what a lot of you do is, instead of, if you have a question about, so again, if you have a question about math, don't go to the science teacher and ask the science teacher about the math problem. You're going to ask the math teacher about the math problem. If you have a problem with Susie or a question about Susie or Mark or whoever, you need to go to Susie or Mark or whoever and ask the question and get clarity. Okay? But the majority of you refuse to do that. Okay? The majority of you do the opposite of what I just explained. Okay? You'll sit there and not say anything. You would rather gossip or be underhanded or whatever the case may be, rather than just going to the source. Okay? And that makes you a horrible critic. Okay? Let's do wrong a little bit better. All right? So again, go to the source. Because going to the source is going to give you clarity. Okay, if you have questions, you need clarity. You can't get clarity going to a third party. Okay, because a third party, 9 times out of 10, does not have all of the information. All right, they may have some, maybe, or maybe not. Okay, but again, if you're curious about something, you have questions about something or someone, you're confused, go to the source. Okay, like I said, just think of it as the scenario that I just mentioned. If you were sitting in math class and you have a question about a math problem, you go to the math teacher. Okay, you don't go to the PE teacher or anybody else. All right. I also want to say this: telling someone else's story. So, again, people who are critical and judgmental gossip a lot. Okay, I found that they love to gossip. They love to just be heard. Okay, and what's being heard is not true oftentimes. However, they don't care. They just need to be the center of attention. Okay, now number one, telling someone else's story is very bold. Okay, so how can you tell someone else's story better than they can? All right, don't do that. All right. Speaking on behalf of someone else, this is something that a lot of manipulative people do. Manipulative people love to speak on behalf of people who can clearly speak up for themselves. All right. And so if you are around a person, if it's not you, if it's you, don't do that. Okay. if you are if you're a person who again speaks on the behalf of other adults who are clearly able to do it, stop doing that. Okay, if you are around a person who loves to speak on behalf of other adults who can clearly speak for themselves, there's a reason they're doing it. Okay, and it's a manipulative reason. All right, so just be aware of that. So anyway, I think that I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I said, it's not our place to judge anyone else. We're all the way we are for different reasons. I think it's great to I always talk about paying attention. We definitely need to pay attention, and know what your why is, and know what people's why is. If you're the one who's always judging other people, and you don't ask direct questions, what's your reason? Okay, or if you see somebody who is always judging other people or being critical of other people, and they're not doing it for a reason that is to help, okay, because the only reason you should be paying that much attention to anybody is to help make a situation better, okay, not to just be judgmental and not to just be nasty and not just to gossip. If you're paying so much attention to something, it should be to help change things in a positive way. Okay, that's what it should be. A lot of times it's not, but that's what it should be. Okay, and so I forgot what I was saying initially. But at the end of the day, like I said, just know what your why is, and know what the other people, if you're around someone who's very judgmental or critical, know what their why is. Okay, why do they feel the need to be nasty or critical? Does it make them feel better? Is that what makes you feel better? Do you just need the attention? Okay, so again, know what the why is, and always just try to be the best version of yourself. Try to help other people, and that's what I want to say. Just try to help other people be the best versions of themselves. Okay, if you're paying a lot of attention to somebody, don't let it be for a critical reason, for a nasty reason. Okay, if you're paying attention, pay attention to help make things better. And again, be direct. Okay, being direct is the best way to be. All right. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned something. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Bye.